Hello and welcome to the Mindset Mentor. I'm Tania Kolar, helping you cultivate a life you love. As you know, your mindset is like a muscle that needs to be strengthened and conditioned, and this is your mindset workout. Today's show, we're so excited to celebrate an extraordinary woman who has left an indelible mark on all of the initiatives that she has done through the community, and of course, her charitable efforts continue to go beyond her role as former mayor of Mississauga for 36 years. This woman is truly remarkable in so many ways, and you're going to learn about that. We're going to dive deep into her world. We're going to learn more about an extraordinary celebration that is coming up. Now, she is celebrating 100 years. So 100-year birthday coming up on February 14th this year, and the Mississauga Arts Council is throwing one of the biggest birthday bashes of all time. Yes, in the middle of a global pandemic. Many people are celebrating milestone birthdays, anniversaries, special occasions, and some people have let that slip by because they just feel that there's a pandemic and they don't want to celebrate. But it is important that we get together, we celebrate in the best way possible. Community is about, uniting people. And I think milestone occasions are that perfect opportunity. And it's an opportunity to let people know how loved they are. And the outpouring of love for former Mayor Hazel McCallion is absolutely outstanding. And the celebration is open to all to join. You're going to hear about that. But I would like to welcome my special guests today, Hazel McCallion joining us. A pleasure to have you here, Hazel. And Ron Duquette, he is the director of the Mississauga Arts Council, who is throwing her this extraordinary event to celebrate and highlight, not only her life as a leader for the community, but her heart and soul and what she has contributed to not only the community, but to the world. So Ron Duquette, also welcome to the show. And Hazel, an absolute pleasure to have you both here today.
Thank you.
All right, so Ron, I want to talk to you about this idea. Now, obviously, 100-year birthday is a pretty big deal. So, did you have any of those moments where you thought, well, you know what, we're just going to have to change course, maybe forego the birthday celebrations? I want to really delve into how this extraordinary event and this tribute for an extraordinary woman has come to play.
Well, it really wasn't that difficult to conceive of this project, quite frankly. Many people probably don't know that I guess very early in Madam Mayor's first term, she recognized the importance of the arts in the community and was the person who really initiated the beginning of the Mississauga Arts Council. So here we are 40 years later, bringing together a lot of members of the arts community to thank her for that and to recognize this very special occasion in her life. And I can tell you that when I reached out to members of the arts community and told them about this idea that I had, everyone was quickly on board. In fact, I think if push comes to shove, this could have been about a 7 or 8 hour presentation, but we obviously had to cut it down to 100 minutes, or at least 100 years in 100 minutes. So that's very appropriate.
Wow.
And as you mentioned, the show will air a stream at least on February the 14th, Hazel's birthday. And for many people might know, officially Hazel McCallion Day in Mississauga, in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be on the 14th at 7:30 p.m. So I'm hoping everyone will have a nice early dinner and sit down and relax and watch the presentation. And it'll be streamed on Facebook Live and YouTube. So all people have to do is go to the Mississauga Arts Council website, and then they can log right into the program.
Well, that truly is an event that you do not want to miss. I'm certainly going to be there joining in the celebrations. And Hazel, when you heard about this big birthday bash in honor of the remarkable work that you've done and to highlight the work over 100-year life or 100 years, essentially, what were your thoughts?
Well, of course, knowing Ron all these many years, he's an idea man. He comes up with some of the most well, visionary ideas. For instance, I remember when he recommended we honor Oscar Peterson, resident of Mississauga, and it was a fantastic presentation. He also was, for many years, managed by Mayor's Gala in Mississauga, raised a lot of money for arts, culture, and heritage. So I wasn't surprised at all that Don he would be the person to come up with this idea. He's done it so often. It's not unusual.
Yeah, just kind of
right,
second nature, right, Ron? Yeah.
Second nature.
Oh, I love that. So, I want to talk about the importance of music. I mean, you both have contributed greatly to the arts community, the Walk of Fame in Mississauga and what have you. So, Hazel, what does music mean to you? Because I always know, I mean, I've seen you at so many galas and different events, and you're usually one of the first people on the dance floor. So, getting right out there, enjoying it. So, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think it means a lot. I think it brings a lot of joy to a lot of people. But my mom was a great pianist and had a beautiful voice. Oh, I used to sit and listen to him play the piano and sing. She'd finish her work day, in the kitchen and the house, and then she would get all dressed up, and then she'd sit down in front of the piano and play music and sing. I remember that so well. And so I grew up with music around me in the home. It was very much a part of our home. I never learned to play the piano. Mom wanted me to, but I was too interested in outdoor activity than sitting by a piano.
Maybe some hockey instead.
Yeah, that's right. So, I've been brought up with music in the home from a wee one. So
beautiful.
One of the reasons, as Ron said, one of the reasons I started the Arts Council, I also started the Sports Council the same year, and it was due to the fact I wanted our young people of Mississauga to have an opportunity to perform in the arts and to perform in sports. And you had to arrange to have an organization to look after both of those items. And so that's why I started the Arts Council and, of course, the Sports Council, which both have contributed so much to the development of our young people in the arts and in sports.
Absolutely. So, and you can hear the phone ringing in the background. No surprise, Hazel McCallion is busy every day, even, approaching 100 in the next few days. She is still on the go, active as always. And so we're going to learn a little bit more about her vision for the future, what she would like to see going forward. But I want to continue on the note of music and the importance of that. I think many people can relate, to, of course, Hazel's experience where they had that music in the home. It's joyful, it's soulful, it's invigorating. It changes your physiology. It completely changes your mood. And I think that right now, particularly in this time of a pandemic, sometimes people feel that they are not allowed to enjoy themselves. But this is the time where we really need to work a little bit harder and to really enjoy ourselves so that we can live our best lives, and give yourself permission to enjoy and experience the happiness that is around you every day. Every moment is a choice. And so, Ron, I want to jump in and, talk to you about the importance of music and what that means for you and for community, uniting the community, and your visions that you have had in really taking MAC to where it is today, to allow artists the opportunity to express themselves and their talent.
Well, yes. Like Hazel, I didn't learn any instruments when I was young, although I certainly enjoyed the arts, in whatever aspect I was experiencing it. But there's no doubt that a city that's growing and building a community just it can't work without sports and without the arts. And one of the great things that we have here in Mississauga, of course, is the cultural aspect of our community. We've got people living here from all over the world, and they bring their art and they bring their cultures to this city so that we can all enjoy it. And that's one of the great things I think about Mississauga, is the diversity that we have in this city. And the Arts Council represents virtually all of those arts groups. So we connect with them. We celebrate them. We have an awards ceremony every year called the Martys, and we recognize artists in all genres, dance, spoken word, all the arts, and it's really an integral part of this great city. And Hazel really was the one that started that in the early stages and helped us build it.
Absolutely invaluable.
I must remark, though, what he hasn't added. He was he managed by Mayor's Gala for a number of years, and all that money that has been raised, which is close to $3 million, has been dedicated. My foundation, and we turned over $2 million to the Community Foundation, Mississauga Community Foundation, for arts, culture, and heritage. And so those funds are there, as well as my own foundation, which supports arts, culture, and heritage. So
and, if I can add to that, Hazel, I think over the course of the last 15, 20 years at least, probably in excess of $4 million has been distributed throughout the community to different arts organizations, and even young people, as Hazel mentioned, just in the early stages of their artistic career, helping them develop and move on, in the arts world. And that's where that money has gone. And it continues to go because Hazel's foundation and the Community Foundation divvy up these funds every year. So it continues and continues and continues. And it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's remarkable because it's really allowing people to pursue their passion and their dreams, and I think it's such a tragedy to see people that are stuck, suppressing their dreams and what they truly want and what makes them happy. We get caught up in day-to-day living, and, we do things just because it's a habit, and we forget about our dreams and our goals and our passions. But when you have that support, that external support and the funding to allow people to do that, these are the threads that bind that community together. These are the threads that create a life that feels authentic, and I think that's so important. Music is it's so integral to everything in life, and I think that being able to do that on such a large scale as you both have done, I want to acknowledge you for your contributions to that, because it is absolutely invaluable. And if we think about it, and just try to imagine a day in a world with no music, we would be in a very different place, and it wouldn't be a fun place. It wouldn't be joyful. It would be different. And I think that it's important to make sure that we continue to do what we can and just enjoy music. And for you at home, it might be just enjoying listening, putting on the radio as you're, doing the dishes. If you're, working at home on the computer, have a little music in the background. I think it does change our energy and our day. And right now it's so important to enjoy every moment. I think this pandemic has provided us with an opportunity to reevaluate. And there's probably a lot of people at home right now who also, like both of you, wish that they could learn how to play an instrument, whether that's the piano, the guitar, the ukulele, the flute, whatever that may be. This is a great opportunity. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who is looking to either pursue a dream and a career in the industry, which may be a little bit tricky for some with the mindset, we believe we can't, have what we want, But what about if they just want to learn an instrument? What are your thoughts on that, Hazel?
I look to Ron to give you his opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I think, especially with music, if it's there, if it's in you, you'll probably know it. But that's not to say that if it isn't there, we still can't enjoy it. I mean, just imagine a world without music. Imagine a world without visual arts, without sports. You know, it's just so much a part of who we are and how we grow up and how we advance in life ourselves. So for young people, if you have that feeling that you have an artistic bone in your body, if you will, seek out support. Come to the Mississauga Arts Council and find out what we can do to help mature that feeling that you have. So many artists have come up through the ranks and been supported by the Mississauga Arts Council and gone on to incredible careers, professional careers. That's not to say that it's going to happen to everyone, but you don't have to be a singer or an artist to enjoy the arts. You know, you can certainly be an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor and still experience and enjoy the arts as well. So yeah, the MAC is here to help coordinate, to connect people in the community and to celebrate their success. That's exactly what we do.
Let me give an example. I'm chief elder of Rivera Long-Term Care and Retirement. And you can't imagine the number of people that I've met in the I've visited 40 homes in Ontario and all the homes in British Columbia. And it's just amazing to see that a person in retirement, either a farmer or an engineer or whatever they did in life, never knew that they had an artistic ounce of blood in their body, and they have turned out to be some of the most leading artists. Some of the homes, the walls are just as full of their paintings, etc. So I think that a lot of people have an ability to express themselves, either music-wise or visual arts-wise, and at some point in their life, it comes out. Mm-hmm. And you can't imagine the number of retirees that have found out that they could do some type of art, either visual art or learn that they like singing, or they could play the piano or play the guitar, etc. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and it's never too late to pursue that passion and to find those talents. You know, there's 7.8 billion people on this planet, and that's 7.8 billion different people, different personalities. Everyone has a unique gift and talent to share with the world, and I think it's so important to discover that. And I believe that we are discovering that as we age. We continue to learn things about ourselves. We learn things about life and society and culture and people, and certainly about ourselves. So to be able to recognize that within ourselves is a beautiful thing. And I think that links in beautifully to having a growth mindset. You know, when people have a fixed mindset, they're locked into, this is it, I can't learn anything new. But as we continue to evolve, we try new things, we learn new things, we build those new neural networks, create that neural network in the brain so that we can strengthen that muscle, so to speak, right? Because as they say, that neurons that fire together wire together. So we really want to focus on things that bring us joy, things that help us to evolve to our best self. And we're going to take a short break right here on the Mindset Mentor, and we will be back celebrating Hazel, a celebration 100 years in the making, a special tribute that the Mississauga Arts Council is putting on. It's going to be one of the biggest, most important birthday celebrations of all time. You do not want to miss it. You can join in on February 14th, which is Hazel's 100th birthday, and also officially Hazel McCallion Day in Ontario. Stay with us, and we're going to take you inside to the birthday celebrations. Stay with us. And welcome back to the Mindset Mentor here on Saga 960 AM. Today we are celebrating and honoring an extraordinary woman, Hazel McCallion, former mayor in Mississauga, 36 years as mayor, and her contributions to society and the planet at large is truly remarkable. And her 100th birthday is coming up February 14th of this year. And of course, an extraordinary woman needs an extraordinary celebration and a big party. This is going to be one of the most important birthday celebrations of all time. It's a once in a lifetime experience. And Ron Duquette, my special guest today, along with the lady herself, Hazel McCallion, is joining us today. And Ron has been responsible for spearheading this big bash. We're going to jump in and get a sneak peek into all of the exciting things that are happening. And of course, we know there's going to be a ton of music, no doubt. And there's going to be some dancing at home. I think people watching will be, dancing right alongside the celebrations. And I'm going to talk, Ron, about the production of all of this. Now, there's so many moving parts that we'll, get into, but how long has this been in the making?
Well, we started production, I guess about 6 months ago, when the idea really started to come together, and we started planning. We didn't talk about the project at all for the longest time. In fact, I didn't even mention it to Madam Mayor till a couple of weeks ago, largely because I wanted it to be a surprise. Mm-hmm. But people ask me what the show is about. Well, I like to describe it as kind of a mini documentary because we are going to take a look at Hazel's life through birth, right through to retirement. And we've picked out some of the salient points of her life, and we'll embellish on those. And then we have 13 different performances throughout the show. And each one of these performances are very special. People have come together in very unique situations, obviously with COVID. And I'll give you an example. We have one piece where we brought together the 50-piece orchestra of the Mississauga Symphony here in Mississauga on the stage of the Living Arts Center, all COVID protected with screens and masks and everything else. And they did the soundtrack for one of the pieces that's going to be sung by one of our favorite singers, Patty Janetta Baker. So that's just an example. Putting something like that together just doesn't happen overnight. And it takes a lot of planning. And in pretty well all of the musical cases anyway, we had to produce under COVID conditions. We have one song done by a group of 22 artists in the Port Credit area, all from their own homes and their own recording facilities and living rooms and what have you. And it's all been edited together. And at one point, all 22 artists are on the screen at the same time. So it's quite phenomenal. And then we have another piece that is an original piece of music produced by a very good friend of Hazel's, Ellen McGregor, who's a business leader here in Mississauga. And we brought together her talents as a pianist and 45 members of the Sheridan College orchestra, not orchestra, but the community singer group. I just can't recall the name. 45 of them all come together to sing the song that Ellen McGregor has created. And I'm almost sorry to sort of throw those things out because I wanted some of this to be a surprise for Hazel, but she'll still get a lot out of it.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to surprise, such a huge monumental, day and all of the moving parts. It's hard to keep that a secret because Hazel certainly knows everybody and is always on the pulse. It's hard to keep anything a secret from Hazel.
It is. And then the other aspect of the show is that we have messages coming in from all over the place. From different people, and I'm not going to mention who some of them are. Mm-hmm. Hazel will know every one of them, but these messages are very special, obviously wishing her a happy birthday and all of those wonderful things. So if you bring all of that together, and then you've got to try to make some sense of it and choreograph it in such a way that it all works seamlessly. And that's what we've done. And then, of course, the other very, very key part of this whole project is that the host is our current mayor, Bonnie Crombie. And Bonnie just did a wonderful, wonderful job narrating on camera, of course, throughout the whole show. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think everybody's going to enjoy it.
Absolutely. And also another birthday celebration as well, Mayor Bonnie Crombie. So a fellow February birthday baby. So a happy birthday also out there. Shout out to Mayor Bonnie Crombie. She will be hosting this extraordinary tribute on February 14th. And so, Ron, I want to just make sure that everybody knows how they're able to join this big birthday bash celebration and enjoy the music and these incredible tributes throughout the evening. So how can they log in to watch?
Very simple. It's going to be on Facebook Live and YouTube. And if you go to the Mississauga Arts Council website, there will be a link there, and you can just click onto that link, and on comes the show. And it starts at 7:30 in the evening. And I must say that for those folks who, for whatever reason, aren't able to join in on February the 14th, it will be on YouTube after the show, so you'll be able to see it at a later date.
Wonderful. So I know, Hazel, you must be looking forward to that, but what is your plan for your birthday? Starting in the morning, what is your routine going to be?
Well, during the lockdown until February 9th to find out what they're going to do. If they lift the lockdown, a lot of people want to come and say hello to me. Not a lot, but some of the people that very close friends, but they can't come because of the lockdown. So I keep saying the Japanese Cultural Center is delivering a Japanese dinner to my house between 4 and 4:30 that day. So we'll have a Japanese dinner for the family, and others want to do things. But until February the 9th, we find out what the province says. The plans are all on hold. Because of the fact that they won't be able. The Coptic Church School wants to deliver a they want to bring all their students from grade 1 to grade 12 to appear on my front lawn the morning of my birthday. Wow. Again, that's dependent on what happens provincially.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's all. There's a lot of plans, but they're all on hold.
Yeah.
Until the province decides.
Yeah. So, a lot of people are, everybody's in the same boat, right? So everyone has experienced that as well. Plans have had to be, on hold. But I love that, Ron, you have really spearheaded this event regardless of the situation. This is done virtually. So many people are finding extremely creative ways to celebrate and to honor loved ones. And this is on such a monumental scale. So well done. I'm sure that was not an easy task to coordinate. But I also want to talk, Hazel, you were talking about, of course, we don't know what's going to happen because it's the lockdown, a stay-at-home order. People are not allowed to sort of leave. So I want to talk about how you have managed and coped with that. We'll maybe hear about that. She's on the phone right now. See, always busy. Someone probably delivering another message, right? So Hazel, how have you coped with COVID and this whole stay-at-home and the lockdown? How has that changed your day-to-day?
Well, it certainly has changed. In the summertime, of course, I was able to hold a lot of meetings out in my backyard patio. I did a number of videos for different fundraisings. I had a lot of lunches and sometimes dinner out there because people could come to the backyard. So in the summertime, I was very busy seeing and had a lot of guests come or friends come. Of course, the winter is quite different. I just follow the rules. I do go out shopping the odd time, but not too often. That's neighbors and friends keep calling me, do you need anything? They'll pick it up and drop it off. So I've done a lot of reading. In fact, in regard to music, I'm sick and tired of watching TV and listening to how many cases today, and now the vaccine. We just keep hearing about vaccine. I don't see it being injected into people, but they talk about it. I'm getting tired of hearing from the federal government that the vaccine is coming. Well, when is it coming? When I think that Israel has vaccinated every one of their citizens. Think about it. And we don't even have the vaccine here. It's hard to believe. So I got all my tapes out, my CDs, and got them on the machine. And so I play the tapes. I'm sick and tired of listening to all the projections of when we're going to get the vaccine and when we're going to be vaccinated. And nothing happened. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's not like the news changes. It's the same thing regurgitated over and over. And so
it over and over again. This company's going to give us so many thousands and thousands and millions of units, but nothing's happening until they start injecting the vaccine into the arms of people. We're not going to solve this virus.
Well, and I think that it's a great model for other people to take a look at. And it's like, all right, and I always recommend for people to not get too inundated with, watching the news every day, multiple times a day. And it's important to be informed, absolutely. But there's a point of being over-informed that leads to, depression. It leads to feeling down and depressed and just, hopeless sometimes when you hear all of this, bad news or it seems so far. I think it's important to now focus on the day to day and sometimes just moment to moment, do what we can to uplift our spirits, to uplift the spirits of others. And I also love that you've had people checking in to see how you're doing and asking if you need anything. And I think it's important to check in with people and say, hey, how are you doing? And because there are so many people right now who are suffering greatly. And it's I think important for us to reach out and help and alleviate that suffering in any way that we can. And obviously our hearts go out to anyone who has lost loved ones during COVID. But again, we're all going through this collective experience, and we can all do our part in just making the life of somebody else a little bit better. But you also, I think, have a responsibility to yourself to say, well, what can I do to make myself feel better in this moment? And Ron, I'd love to talk to you about how COVID has impacted your day-to-day. And I know you've been busy working on the tribute, obviously putting time in there. But if we take that aside, how has COVID really impacted you?
Well, it hasn't been overly terrible for me. I'm retired now, so I don't have the work things going on that I would normally. And as Hazel mentioned, during the summertime, we spent a lot of time out in the backyard and relaxing and having friends over and dinner and those sorts of things. But it's amazing with the technology we have today, what you can do being locked down. And that was one of the blessings, I suppose, of trying to put this project together, that a lot of it was done with Zoom calls and telephone calls and emails. And in some cases, we were in the studio recording, but we were following the guidelines and the rules and being COVID careful, if you will. And everything went very, very nicely. But a lot of it was done in lockdown conditions. And it's still, one of the hardest things, though, is working with my editor, because typically I would be sitting with my editor and describing my vision for a scene, if you will, and saying, okay, let's do it this way or that way. Well, now we couldn't do that. So, he would have to do a clip and email it to me, and I'd have to look at it and say, okay, no, make this change or make that change. And it's more time consuming. But when you're working with professional people who know what they're doing, it certainly isn't that difficult. A lot of my editors know me so well that they used to say, or I used to say, you're making the changes to the edit before I even tell you what to do. So they know me and they know my style, and that helps.
Yeah, well, you've been in the industry for such a long time, and you've built some incredible relationships with musicians and artists around the world, known around the world. So that's truly phenomenal. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with more of a special tribute to Hazel McCallion celebrating her 100th birthday on February 14th, and you are all invited to the party. So you can watch and join in at 7:30 p.m. on February 14th, which, by the way, is also Hazel McCallion Day in Ontario, to honor an extraordinary woman and a remarkable life. Stay with us. Hello and welcome back to the Mindset Mentor here on Saga 960 AM. I'm Tania Kolar, and today I've got two very special guests joining me on the show today. Ron Duquette, who is he's the director for the Mississauga Arts Council, and the extraordinary Hazel McCallion, former mayor of Mississauga, who is celebrating her 100th birthday on February 14th of this year. There is a big birthday celebration that's happening, and you are all invited. It will begin at 7:30 p.m. streaming online. We'll give you more details as to how you can join the party. This is a party that you do not want to miss. There's so many extraordinary performances, well-known artists, special tributes, and beautiful heartfelt messages for Hazel McCallion, who has left such an indelible mark, not only in her career as mayor, but it continues beyond that, and certainly her charitable work. We're going to dive into a very special book, a photo book that has already raised millions of dollars, if I understand correctly. So Hazel, I'd love to talk to you about the photo book, what the photo book is, and how people can get their hands on one.
Well, back in June, at a meeting out on my back patio, the Trillium, well, I had a number of requests to use my 100th birthday to raise funds for very worthy causes. Mm-hmm. And so I chose the hospital because the Mississauga Hospital needs to be rebuilt. It was built in 1958. Fortunately, during my term as mayor, I was able to get the Credit Valley Hospital built. I don't know what we would do without it with this pandemic. Hospital care is so important, health care in a community. And so I chose the Trillium Hospital. And Amy, my friend, Amy Ting, she came up with the idea of doing a coffee table book. So that's how it got started. And we thought we would raise $1 million. That's what they estimated. But we're at just over 2.5 million. And they're aiming to make it 3 million by my birthday on February the 14th.
Congratulations.
So it's been a very successful campaign for the rebuilding of the Mississauga Hospital.
And beautiful initiative.
Pardon?
A beautiful initiative.
Oh, yeah. Well, the hospital care, you can't build a community. That's why I was so proud to be able to build the Credit Valley Hospital during my term of office, because hospital care during a pandemic, I can assure you, it shows how important it is to have good health care in your community. Absolutely. So that's how it happened.
Lovely.
It's coming out on February the 12th.
Okay.
That's when it's,
so where can somebody get a copy of the book?
They just have to dial hazel100.ca on the website of the Trillium Hospital.
Wonderful. So hazel100.ca at the Trillium Hospital to get your hands on a beautiful photo book depicting the life of Hazel. And do you have a favorite photo that is in that book that really means a lot to you?
There's a lot of photos in that book. Well, I look back to my childhood, and I have a picture with my first dog, Bing. A little, just a small dog, not really small, but that picture with Bing and I, because I used to come in at were playing outside after school in the snow and coming in and then lying on the couch in the recreation room, and my dog would get up beside me and I would hug him. You'll see a picture of me hugging him. He just was a beautiful, my first dog.
I love that. That sounds great. And I think actually a lot of people, so I've heard during the pandemic, have gotten a dog or taken in an adopted dog because it's company, it's companionship. It's a good back and forth for both people. It benefits the dog, the animal, and of course the owner. And I think that's important as well. So I love that. And Ron, I know that you have placed your order for your book. Is that correct?
Oh, I sure have. I was very early in placing my order.
Wonderful.
In fact, I think I might even have a few photos in that book.
During the pandemic, when you're talking about dogs, I unfortunately had to put my German Shepherd Missy down. Otherwise, since in June. So I've been alone since then. I sure miss my beautiful dog, Missy. You know her, Ron.
I do see a lovely animal.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for your loss. Of course, Missy was part of your family, and it is, it's heartbreaking when you lose that family member who's been with you there. That unconditional love, you can't beat unconditional love, and it's so important to, remember those wonderful, special people and pets in our world, our fur babies, right? So really nice, to honor Missy as well. And so I want to talk again a little bit more about some of the plans moving forward. It's interesting because obviously, Hazel, I mean, you've been a visionary and a leader, and Ron yourself as well. I mean, I know that you have spearheaded so many different organizations, and you've been on the board and director and president of so many associations. Both of you are leaders and visionaries. So I want to know what's next, and especially for you, Hazel, 100-year lifetime, in the making, creating such incredible progress for the city, for the community. What is your vision going forward? What would you love to see happen in the community?
Well, I think one thing that I very proud of is I just didn't think about the community of Mississauga. I thought beyond the community of Mississauga, because you can't be only concentrating on the area in which you live. Mm-hmm. So I contributed as president of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. I work with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and of course with my work with the World Health in Kobe, Japan. You got to think, you got to act locally, but you got to also think provincially, Canada-wise, country-wise, and international. And my international association has been very much a part of my life. My term on the Kobe World Health in Japan was a wonderful experience. And that's how we started, Ron, the Healthy City program in Mississauga, getting the whole community working together to improve the health of the community. Because if you get all the organizations working together, then you can certainly implement a very major health prevention program. And so, when I think that the Japanese Cultural Center is delivering a dinner to me on my birthday, the Chinese consulate delivering a beautiful replica of a Chinese piece of our art, etc. So you gotta act locally because that's where you're located. Mm-hmm. But you can't neglect provincially, you can't neglect country-wise, and you got to be concerned about the world, the international world. Yeah. Ron was with me on my trip to Tanzania, right?
Phenomenal.
Tanzania, Africa. Mm-hmm. And so it's very much a part of my life.
Beautiful. And, when we took a break, Ron, you were talking about how this big birthday celebration, is far beyond the reach of local. And so, it's really nice to see that outreach, can go worldwide. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
Well, as Madam Mayor mentioned earlier, with a group of students coming to sing happy birthday on our front lawn, one of the great things about this project is that it's available throughout the world. And I know, in fact, in my own family, we'll have people watching in Europe, in the United States, throughout Canada, British Columbia, up into the Yukon. So, everybody can tune in. The time differences around the world are perhaps going to affect some people, but if they aren't able to watch it at 7:30 on February the 14th, they can certainly watch it later on YouTube at their leisure.
Oh,
so,
perfect.
yeah, Hazel's popularity is spread throughout the world. And having been close to this woman for, I think close to 45 years, I've experienced it. We went to Tanzania together, as she mentioned, to help raise funds for children suffering from the HIV/AIDS pandemic in that country several years ago. And one of my favorite memories of that trip was being stuck in the airport on our way home in Amsterdam for about 8 hours. We had a layover, and Hazel said, well, let's go for a walk. And that walk turned into about 2 hours after people were stopping her for photographs and autographs. And so here you go in an airport in Europe, this woman is known.
Wow.
And, that was quite an experience.
Yeah, it truly is remarkable to be able to see the reach and to be recognized and valued for that. I think it's important, for everybody to have validation and significance in life. But when other people recognize that, I think that's so truly awe-inspiring, and it just fills the soul. Really important to see that, and that legacy, will continue on. And I acknowledge both of you for the incredible contributions that you have made through the different organizations that you have both been involved with, the charitable associations as well, and the amount of funds that you both collectively have raised, of course, in some points with the help of others and teams. But it's really incredible to have people like yourselves who are passionate about people, helping people, caring, and who actually, are genuine in that as well. And so that is really the foundation of where it all begins. What can you do at home? And as you say, expand that, to the country, to the world at large. And I think that's so important. And I think having a tribute for Hazel's 100th, it's so much more than, of course, a celebration of her birthday. It's a celebration of a remarkable life, remarkable contributions that will last for an eternity. And so, I acknowledge you for, spearheading that as well, Ron. So that's phenomenal. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So I'd love for you, Ron, to tell everyone again how they can be a part of this incredible tribute birthday. So it's Hazel, a celebration, 100 years in the making. Great performances and musicians collectively coming together to honor a remarkable woman. So how can people join in?
Very simply, at 7:30 on February the 14th, after you've had a lovely dinner, go into your living rooms, turn that TV on, sit back and relax, and tune into Facebook Live and YouTube, but get to that link by going to the Mississauga Arts Council website, and you'll be able to get into the link. And I guarantee you 1.5 hours of fabulous entertainment and a great celebration.
Oh, absolutely. I'm certainly looking forward to the celebration. I cannot wait. So I'll give you each a couple of moments just to say some final words to the listeners. Hazel?
Well, this pandemic has changed our way of life in such a major way. But, there's some benefits from the pandemic. I think families have realized that now they miss getting together, where before they didn't take the time to get together. So there's another thing. The thing that worries me is the impact on our young people. There being the children that are being deprived of school, deprived of sports, just deprived of art and culture and libraries, etc. I think I really worry about how this is going to impact them for the rest of their life, because their association at school with their people of their own age, etc., is so important. Their involvement in the arts, in the sports, in the community, seeing their grandparents, etc. It's, the grandparents. I meet a lot of grandparents that are just waiting for the day that their grandchildren can come to their home and enjoy a meal with them. Think about it, and we've been deprived of that, and so it's going to take us a while to adjust back when we can be when things are opened up again. But it's going to have an impact. There's some good to it, but there's a lot of negativity as well. But we've been taught a lot. First of all, I think one thing it has clearly indicated, and I hope all levels of government will recognize, that we got to become more independent of imports from other parts of the world. We can do everything here in Canada if we just take up the challenge and make it happen. Right here in our own country, we have the talent, we have the resources, we have everything, but we've missed out on making it happen. So I hope that will be the outcome of the pandemic, that Canada will become more independent of the rest of the world.
Yes, beautiful. Well said. Thank you. And Ron, any final words for you?
Well, I agree with the Madam Mayor. This lockdown, while it's kept me busy, there have been negative things like not being able to see my grandkids and spend time with them, and friends, friends that you socialize with all the time, parties that we go to, galas that we go to. It's been too long, and we've got to get back to some kind of normal, whatever that normal is going to be. And I can tell you, I'm really looking forward to it.
I absolutely agree with you as well. I miss the interaction with family. I live by myself as well, so I get it. I understand what that's like, and so there will be an end to this. So I always encourage people to remember that life is a cycle. Everything in life is meant to be temporary, so there will be an end to this. So let's just stay strong. Let's stay together. We will get through this. And unfortunately, we are out of time. So a big giant thank you to Ron Duquette and Hazel McCallion. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing such a beautiful tribute that's going to be happening February 14th, and the world can get together and celebrate a remarkable life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later, guys.
All right, everyone. So make sure that you continue to work out your mindset. It's like a muscle that needs to be strengthened and conditioned. So let's make it a remarkable day today. And make sure you tune in next Saturday at 11 a.m.